Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
Fear is nothing more than the absence of knowledge, a hollow echo that haunts the mind only because you allow it. To conquer the unknown is not simply to step into it. It is to claim it, to make it yours. Those who cower from what they cannot see are enslaved by their own limitations. But those who embrace the void, who dive into the depths without flinching, are the ones who emerge unbreakable. The unknown is not your enemy, it is your proving ground. To fear the darkness is to confess weakness, to admit that there are parts of this world that hold power over you. But power is taken, not given, and the unknown is nothing more than an opportunity to seize control of what others fear. Step into the shadows, confront the silence, feel the weight of the void pressing against your skin, and understand that the only terror here is what you bring with you. For in the heart of the unknown there are no illusions, no deceptions, only you, face to face with what you are truly made of. Fear of the unknown is a cage, a prison built by those too afraid to venture beyond the boundaries of comfort. Every inch of ground held by the unknown is territory surrendered, space given to something that has no substance of its own. The unknown is nothing until you give it shape, until you allow it to grow like a shadow in the corners of your mind. To conquer it is to destroy that illusion, to break down the walls that fear has built around you. Step by step, dismantle the myth of the unknown until it is nothing more than dust under your feet. The unknown feeds on hesitation, on doubt. Every moment of hesitation is a victory for the shadows. Every second you pull back is another step toward surrender. Those who fear the unknown are already lost, already ensnared in the grip of their own uncertainty. But you have the choice to become something different, something more. To conquer the unknown is to walk forward even when you cannot see the ground beneath you, to trust that your own strength is enough to carry you through whatever lies beyond. The unknown bends to those who approach it without fear, who move with purpose, with relentless will. The edge of the unknown is where all potential lies, where power sleeps in silence, waiting for those bold enough to reach out and claim it. The weak will tell themselves stories, cling to myths about what lurks beyond, but you know better. The unknown holds nothing you cannot overcome, nothing you cannot claim as your own. To stand on its edge and turn back is to surrender everything that lies on the other side, to give up the power that only those who confront it can hold. Step forward and let the unknown become your playground, your empire, built from the very shadows others fear. Fear thrives on ignorance, on the unwillingness to understand. The unknown only holds sway over those who refuse to master it, who let it tower over them like an unscalable wall. But walls are meant to be broken, and the unknown is nothing more than an invitation to destroy the limits of your own understanding. Conquering it means stripping away the layers of uncertainty, tearing down every barrier until there is nothing left to fear. The unknown is not an obstacle, it is a door, and those with the strength to open it will find that it leads not to darkness, but to power. Embrace the unknown, for it is where you will find what no one else has dared to seek. Every step you take into its depths brings you closer to something new, something powerful. The weak fear the unknown because they fear losing control, but to conquer it is to realize that control was always yours for the taking. The unknown is not chaos. It is potential, pure and unclaimed, waiting for the one who has the will to claim it. The unknown is yours to shape, to mold, to command. The only thing holding you back is the fear you cling to, the last remnants of doubt that tell you to turn away. But you are not here to turn back, to surrender to shadows that have no substance. Step forward, claim the unknown, and let it bend to your will. The hardest choices require the strongest wills, and there's no choice harder, no will stronger than to face the unknown and declare it yours. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. They will surround themselves with distractions, bury themselves in lies, build entire lives around illusions rather than confront the shadows that lurk within. Most would rather escape into comforting fantasies than acknowledge the depths of their own darkness. For them, it's easier to construct worlds of light, of false purity, than to descend into the shadows where the raw, unfiltered essence of their soul waits. But enlightenment is not found in these illusions. It's found in the crucible of the self, where the darkness is made conscious. To make the darkness conscious is an act of war against everything you thought you were. It requires you to strip away every mask, to dismantle every lie you have told yourself, until nothing remains but the raw, brutal truth of your being. People fear this process, and so they run from it, inventing excuses, crafting identities that keep them safely hidden from themselves. They fear the darkness because it is untamed, uncontrollable, a mirror that reveals every flaw, every weakness. But to avoid it is to live in chains, bound by a fear that grows stronger with each attempt to ignore it. Enlightenment is not the presence of light. It is the mastery of shadow. It is the process of confronting every corner of your mind, of facing the thoughts, the impulses, the parts of yourself that are inconvenient, that do not fit the image you have crafted. To make the darkness conscious is to shine a light into the void within, to explore the places most dare not look. This is not a gentle journey, it is an unflinching exploration of the self, a descent into the very things you have always run from. But only in that descent do you find the pieces of yourself that hold true power. People cling to the light because it feels safe, because it allows them to believe they are good, pure, whole. But that light is fragile, a thin veneer over a reality that seethes beneath the surface. To make the darkness conscious is to accept that within you lies chaos, rage, desire, forces that you cannot control, but that can be wielded if you dare to confront them. It is in facing this darkness that you find your strength, not in pretending it away, not in burying it beneath fantasies of light and purity. The light is an illusion, the darkness is real. Facing the darkness within is not a journey for the weak. It demands that you stand against every comforting lie, every escape you have created to keep the truth at bay. To make the darkness conscious is to break down the barriers within yourself, to tear apart the walls that keep you from understanding the full scope of who you are. This is not enlightenment in the way most understand it. It is a violent awakening, a shattering of the comfortable self in favor of something raw, something powerful. Those who refuse to face their own darkness are slaves to it, controlled by forces they refuse to acknowledge. They hide from their own depths, living in fear of what might surface if they let down their guard. But that darkness, that unknown within, will never go away. It only grows stronger in the shadows, waiting for the moment when it will seize control. To face it, to make it conscious, is the only way to gain mastery over it. To ignore it is to live as its puppet, forever at the mercy of the parts of yourself you refuse to confront. Enlightenment is not about becoming something pure. It is about becoming whole. It is not about ridding yourself of darkness, but about integrating it, understanding it, wielding it. Those who embrace only the light are incomplete, weak, divided against themselves, but those who make the darkness conscious are something else entirely. They are forces of nature, unbreakable because they have mastered the most dangerous parts of themselves. The darkness is not an enemy to be vanquished, it is a source of power waiting to be claimed. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, by hiding behind ideals that are too fragile to withstand reality. Enlightenment requires descending into the depths of the soul, confronting every part of yourself that you have tried to forget. It is a journey into the unknown within, a plunge into the void, where every fear, every regret, every desire waits. Those who fear the unknown within will never be free, because they are always hiding from themselves. But those who conquer that fear, who make the darkness conscious, become something that the light can never touch. To conquer the fear of the unknown is to understand that the unknown is not out there. It is within. And only those who have the strength to descend into that inner darkness, to confront it, to master it, can ever hope to rise above it. You need to experiment in the darkness. The unknown holds vast potential, the untapped depths where power waits for those who dare to reach into the void. The darkness is not empty. It is brimming with possibility, waiting for those with the courage to experiment, to push beyond the comfortable light and discover what lies on the other side. To remain within the bounds of what is known is to stay stagnant, to live a life of hollow routine, bound by the same constraints that keep the weak from greatness. But the darkness is an endless sea of possibility for those who have the will to dive in. Every experiment, every attempt in the darkness is a step toward unlocking something powerful, something that feeds your frenzy. Greatness is not stumbled upon. It is carved out, pulled from the depths through relentless pursuit. Experimentation is not a mere exercise. It is the process by which you transform yourself, bit by bit, mistake by mistake, until you become something that others cannot fathom. Each failure in the darkness is not an end, but a key, unlocking the doors to greater understanding, to strength beyond what the world believes possible. Those who hesitate, who fear to experiment in the dark, will always be bound by the chains of mediocrity. Do not waste a single hour. To say you lack time is to admit defeat before the battle has even begun. You have the same hours as those who shaped the world, as those who reached into the darkness and emerged as legends. Helen Keller, Pasteur, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein. They faced the same constraints, the same limitations of time, but they understood that the hours given were not barriers, but tools. Each hour is an opportunity to experiment, to dive into the unknown and find the threads that will weave greatness into the fabric of your life. Time is not what limits you. Fear is. The darkness is vast, but your willingness to experiment is what determines how far you can go within it. To say you lack time is to allow the fear of the unknown to control you, to keep you bound to the comforts of the known. Those who truly seek greatness know that each second wasted on excuses, on hesitations, is a second handed over to the weak. The dark holds everything, but only for those who are willing to explore it without restriction. without reservation. The darkness does not reveal its potential easily. It requires sacrifice, relentless effort, the willingness to try, fail, and try again. Each hour is an investment, each experiment a gamble where the reward is something far greater than safety or comfort. Greatness feeds on risk, on the willingness to push boundaries, to experiment with what others fear to touch. You must delve deeper, work harder, not because you seek the approval of others, but because you are driven by something insatiable, a frenzy that cannot be sated by the ordinary. Those who changed the world did not wait for the light to show them the way. They made the darkness their ally, their laboratory, a place where they were free to experiment without constraint. They broke boundaries because they understood that only in the unknown, in the depths where others feared to tread, could they find the raw material to build their legacy. Each hour they spent was not an obligation. It was a tool they wielded with precision, carving their path through the darkness with unyielding force. You are given the same hours, the same capacity to reach into the dark and shape your destiny. But you must make the choice to experiment, to act, to push yourself beyond what is comfortable. To conquer the darkness is not to understand it completely, but to master it, to use it as a forge in which you craft your purpose, your power. To waste those hours is to let potential slip through your hands, to surrender to the darkness without ever claiming its gifts. Experiment in the darkness, and you will find something that feeds the fire within, something that ignites a frenzy beyond what the world has ever seen. Do not fear the unknown. It is there that you will find what makes you unstoppable. Conquer the fear of the unknown, for it is only there, in that void, that you will find the power to remake yourself entirely. If you tell the truth about yourself, it becomes a part of your past, a weight cast off, a chain shattered. The moment you face what you are, what you have allowed yourself to become, you release yourself from the endless cycle of deception. But lie, and that lie becomes woven into the fabric of your future, lurking around every corner, tightening its grip until it binds you completely. A lie is not a simple evasion, it is a poison, a silent thief of every ambition, every moment of potential, corrupting each step forward. To lie is to surrender your future to something hollow, something weak. Owning your current miserable state is not a defeat. It's a declaration of war against everything holding you back. Most avoid facing themselves, constructing intricate lies, fortresses of falsehood to shield themselves from the harshness of reality. But each lie is another layer of weakness, another link in the chain that binds them to mediocrity. They fear what they might see if they look too closely, so they run, layering one deception over another, trying to outrun the inevitable reckoning with themselves. But you know better. You know that power lies not in hiding from the dark corners of your mind, but in exposing them to the cold light of recognition. To tell yourself the truth, to confront your own miserable reality, is to seize control. It is to claim responsibility over the life you have shaped, the weaknesses you have allowed to grow, the failures that have defined you. To own that reality is to end its control over you, to transform it from a prison into a foundation. Only those who dare to confront their failures, their darkness, can ever hope to escape it. It is only by owning who you are now in all your imperfection that you can carve a path to something greater. Each lie about who you are becomes another obstacle, another shadow waiting to drag you down. You cannot build a life on deception, cannot forge strength from the materials of falsehood. Lies are the tools of the weak, of those who would rather rot in comfort than face the pain of becoming something more. To lie about yourself is to build a future that will betray you, a life that will collapse under the weight of every falsehood you have constructed. The path to strength is paved with brutal honesty. It is not found in pretending to be something more, but in acknowledging where you are weak, where you have fallen short, and using that knowledge as fuel. Weakness is not the enemy. Hiding from it is. To acknowledge your flaws, your failures, is to take the first step toward something beyond them. Only by confronting your own darkness can you hope to overcome it. Those who lie are destined to remain bound to their failures, to live lives haunted by the shadows of the selves they refuse to face. An optimal human experience is not one free from pain or hardship. It is one in which every aspect of yourself is laid bare, examined, and owned. There is no escape from the flaws, the scars, the mistakes of your past. But to own them is to transform them, to strip them of their power and use them as the foundation for something unbreakable. Every failure, every miserable moment becomes fuel for the fire that drives you forward. Those who hide from their darkness, who lie about their failures, are trapped in a cycle of illusion, forever bound to the lies they tell. To tell yourself the truth is to release yourself from the shadows. It is to make peace with your failures, not by ignoring them, but by understanding them, owning them, and using them as stepping stones toward power. Each admission of weakness, each confrontation with your own limitations, strips away the illusions that have kept you bound. Only then can you step into the unknown with the strength of one who has nothing to hide, nothing to fear, because you have faced the worst within yourself. Lies will consume your future, twist it into something that betrays you with every step. But owning your reality in all its miserable truth will give you something no lie can offer. Clarity, strength, a foundation forged from unbreakable resolve. To conquer the fear of the unknown is to first conquer the fear of yourself. For when you own who you are, there is nothing left to fear, nothing left to hide from in the shadows. Once you are ready to confront the darkness, expectations must be abandoned. Expectations are chains forged by the weak, illusions that only serve to confine your potential within walls of your own making. To enter the darkness is to venture into a place where the familiar dissolves, where all you have known becomes irrelevant. You must be prepared to lose yourself, to release every assumption, every forecast, every plan, because the darkness follows no rules, no script. Those who cling to expectations are bound to be broken by them, for the unknown has no place for such fragile comforts. The process is not a path paved with certainty. It is a labyrinth, twisting and turning, demanding that you surrender your need for control. Nothing will happen at first. You will walk blindly, step after step, seeing no change, feeling no growth, as though you are clawing your way through an endless void. The weak give up here, convinced that the darkness holds nothing for them, that they were fools to seek power in the unknown. But those who persist, those who understand that patience is the price of mastery, press forward, embracing the silence, the stillness, the emptiness.